Kevin says, so I have a domain that caught some bad link juice and now has consistently bounced around page 2 to 3, swinging wildly in position for 4 months now. I would like to a new branded domain in 301 the old domain to the new domain. Okay, so I think he means he would like to move it to a new branded domain and 301 the old to the new. The thing is, I will move the old domain to a new hosting provider, which will be the same account and host that my new purchased branded domain will be on. Okay, will Google slap my new domain since I am 301ing my old domain, which is on the same hosting account as the new domain? No, don't. You're conflating two things there, Kevin. It doesn't matter unless you're on a real shitty host, which, you know, like we could start naming off some real shitty hosts. But if you're on a really shitty shared hosting account, then you know, you could be in a bad neighborhood just by the IP, just guilty by association. If you're surrounded by a bunch of other spammy sites on the same IP, which is quite possible with shared hosting, then there can be some issues with just having that IP period. But just switching from one domain to another on the same IP, the same host, that's not going to negatively affect you, because remember, your IP most likely, if you're on shared hosting, which I'm assuming you are, is going to be shared with sometimes hundreds of other sites, and so, you know, they would have to penalize, Google would have to penalize every site that's using the same IP as you are, right? And sometimes that happens. Don't get me wrong, and that could be, you know, could be an issue. It's probably not your issue here though. So just buying a new domain, cloning the site, putting it on a new domain, and then 301ing the old to the new, the host itself, the IP issue, shouldn't be causing you an issue unless it's just a bad IP, been flagged as a bad IP because of a you know, considerably high amount of other spammy sites on that IP. There's a site that you can check that checks like IP neighborhood. I think you can do that Majestic too. So, anyways, you can just do a Google search for like check sites on IP or something like that, and there are sites out there that will do a scan of your IP address or your domain and will tell you all the other sites on that IP. And so you can go like just kind of have a scan and see if there's a bunch of like Viagra and pharmacy stuff and, you know, things like that. Then I would recommend switching hosts anyways, to, you know, so that you get a better IP. All right, that's another reason why we use Liquid Web so much, is because Liquid Web really limits their shared hosting, the amount of websites that they allow on an IP, and so there's a lot less likely for you to be in a spam trap like HostGator or something else, which there's a lot of that. All right. But remember, keep this in mind. If you are going to basically clone a site that's been bouncing, and then you 301 the old domain to the new domain, you will be passing the penalty eventually, especially if it's algorithmic and you never even see it. It will catch up. It won't be like initially when you clone the site, put it on a new domain and 301 the old to the new, you should probably see any bad juju like disappear. Like, you know, you should probably solidify where the rankings are for that. But that penalty will catch up with that 301 at some point. Typically, it's not always the case, but oftentimes it will. You need to figure out where the problem is coming from, where it originates, and then fix that first. So if you can isolate, like what you're saying, it's a bad link juice penalty, right? So I'm assuming it's an algorithmic penalty. Then you need to identify which links are giving you that the trouble, and go ahead and resolve that first. Fix that before you bother with the 301, the cloning in the 301. So, because sometimes it might just be one or two pages on your site or posts on your site that have, you know, these negative or these bad links pointing at it that are pulling the entire site down. And if that's the case, what you'd want to do is redirect that single page or post URL away, or do give it a 410 code or something like that, which means page does not exist anymore. And then you can 301 the remaining pages from the site that don't have any bad links to them on a page-by-page basis to the new site. And that way, you're redirecting any bad link juice away from the site. You can point it to a competitor. I didn't say that, did I? If you can isolate which pages or posts on your site have bad links pointing to it, then you could redirect it elsewhere. competitor, or you could just do a 410, or you could just redirect it, like a 404 page for that matter, anything like that, and then you could redirect all of your existing pages that don't have bad links pointing to them to the new pages on the new domain, and that's how I would do it. Because otherwise, if you just do a flat-out domain redirect and you have an algorithmic or whatever, a link-based penalty, eventually that penalty is going to transfer to your new domain, and you're back to square one again. You want to comment on that, Hernan or Marco?
No, I think you made a good point. I mean, 301s go wherever you want them to go, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter if it is a competitor. You can do it. You can do it to a Twitter, for example, to a Twitter profile. I've been doing that lately. Like if you have those domains that you register and you are not sure that if they will benefit, just use them as tier 2. Just point them to a tweet or redirect them to a YouTube video or whatever, because usually the domain authority and the trust flow of that property will filter out whatever bad link juice is between the tweet and your money site.
Yeah.
So that would be the only thing. That the good thing about 301s is that you can use them whatever way you want it. And there being a switch box, if you're pointing them to a branded properties, you need to be really careful with branded properties. We do not blast them with links, for example, because of the branding possibility. The truth is that you can always kill the link juice and point them like one tier back, like a PBN posting to a tweet, posting to, and then the tweet linking to your website. So, you just need to be creative with 301s. I think things can get really, really fun when you actually get the power that a 301 that detachable link juice can have. So.
Yeah. Okay, it says I still want to use the old domain as I put 6+ months of link building into it, and I want to still use that juice on the new branded domain. The reason why I'm doing the domain transfer is I do not want to pay $155 a year for hosting. I have the domain parked for $16 a year. Can I just do the 301 and leave the domain parked? I don't understand what you mean there. I don't understand what you mean there. The domain, the 301, the domain should have nothing to do with your hosting, because you can point the domain to any hosting account that you want, right? So if you've got the domain registered in your registrar, whatever it is, Namecheap, GoDaddy, whatever, you can point that domain to any hosting that you want. So right now, if you have it parked, it just means that your name servers are pointed to the parking page for whatever registrar you're using. All you have to do is go update your name servers to point to your hosting account, whatever hosting account you have, and it will automatically point to that host now instead of a parking page. So Kevin, I'm not sure what you're saying about having a parked domain and all that. You can't leave a domain parked and also 301 it. You can't do that.
Yeah, and I think he's also confused because you don't have granular control at the it would be the registrar level, where you'd have to go. And what we do is like wildcard 301s, where we redirect everything to the home page before we redirect the domain to wherever it is that we want it to go. Especially when something, you know how Chinese domains are, that they'll have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of subdomains, and you don't want to go and redirect each one. So we use the wildcard, right? And then we redirect that somewhere else. But if he's wanting to keep the juice, and if he's wanting to keep what he has and the content, and he plans to do a page-by-page redirect, and that's htaccess, or maybe a WordPress plugin. So we're talking about two different things. Not the hosting account, not the registrar, but actually on the domain itself, going into the domain, and if it's htaccess, then it's cPanel or FTP or SSH, whatever it is that he's going to use to access that, to get at that htaccess file.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, I mean, what I would do is the existing site, if it's a WordPress site, you can install the 301 Redirects plugin, the simple 301 Redirects plugin, and you can actually create a spreadsheet. Just use Excel or whatever, and create a spreadsheet, and in column A, you put your old URLs, your existing URLs from the existing site, and in column B, you put the new URLs and do a 1-to-1 ratio, right? Because you're just going to clone the site anyways. That's what I would recommend doing, is you clone the site. But first, remember, you've got to identify where the bad links are coming from and resolve that first. But then you do a 1-to-1, page by page, post by post redirect in a spreadsheet. So column A, original URL, column B, new domain URL, right? And then you can use the Simple 301 Redirects plugin with the bulk extensions add-on, which is a free add-on. And then you can upload the CSV file, and it will automatically create all of those redirects for you. That's the easiest and quickest way to do it, in my opinion. And then the homepage URL, the homepage itself, so the root domain of the existing domain, I would put on something like the Ultimate Coming Soon plugin, or something like that, where you could just put up an image and a link that says, we've moved or whatever. And so the root domain itself would be like a parking page, but it would still be on the existing WordPress site. And it would have an actual link saying, we've moved to over here or something like that. That's how I usually will do it. Or you could do it all in htaccess, or you could set up redirects inside cPanel. Those are a little bit geekier to do, though. All right. But yeah, I'm not sure what you're saying about the parking and all that kind of stuff. Unless you purchase the domains through the actual hosting account, in which case, again, it's not going to cost you more money unless you're with some kind of weird host, to be able to just make that domain, the purchase domain, the new one, an add-on domain to the hosting account, and then you're going to update the name servers to point to the name servers that the host gives you. Okay, so I think there's some confusion there as to what it is you're trying to do, Kevin, but hopefully that was helpful.